Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. Now this one is quite a special video actually. This is review number 700, so as I always do with these landmark beer reviews, I just want to give a huge thank you to all of you who follow the channel, you know, whether it's been likes, subscribes, shares, whatever you've done for the channel. It's been great to have such a positive response to something that I really just started as a hobby, so a huge heartfelt thank you to all of you who have supported the channel over the last, I believe, 3 years or so it is now that I've been doing these. So for this one, since it's a special review, we are going to go and visit a brewery who I really quite enjoy. We're going to return to Iceland and revisit Borg Brugghús, who are from the capital city Reykjavik, and this one is their number 18. It's called Ástríkur and it's a sort of monastic beer. It's a Belgian style beer, this one. I saw it listed on Rate Beer, I guess. It said it was a Belgian strong ale, so it should be quite interesting, but this one it comes in at 10%. And for this review, a huge thank you as well to Fabrizio and Tatiana Rossi. They provided me with this beer. They're both from Brazil, from Rio in Brazil, but they were on holiday in Iceland and they very kindly sent me some Brazilian beers which you've seen reviewed already, and they sent me a couple of Icelandic ones too, so there's one more beer for me to review from the ones that they sent me, and you'll see that for review at number 750. It's another Borg beer. So a huge thank you to Fabrizio for that. He's become a very good friend over the last little while, so you will see some more Brazilian beers on the channel thanks to him. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual websites are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other Borg Brugghús reviews I've done for you before. There's two up there, the Jesus and the Fenrir Tadrig tour, which is also on the Borg website actually, so thank you to Borg Brugghús for that. And there's all the usual social media things, Facebook, Twitter and Untappd, so please follow me on there. Your support would be much appreciated, and if you do want to see more beer reviews, just subscribe to the channel, and I will apologise in advance for any bad Icelandic pronunciations in this video. I've done a few Icelandic reviews for you before and I think I'm okay at it, but I will apologise if any of them aren't quite right. So anyway, the Borg Brewery, or Town Brewery as it would translate to in English, is the craft brewing division of the Eagle at Skallagrimsson Brewery in Iceland, which is part of the Oldagrin Group, which is actually the oldest brewery in the country, and as I said, they're based in the capital city of Reykjavik in the western part of the island. Now, Egil Skallagrimsson was probably the most famous Viking who ever lived, and he had a great impact on Iceland, and he was born in the year 910 and was a very high-spirited, stubborn, and was not the most handsome of men actually, but at a very young age he left to go on many successful voyages with his brother Thorolf, who actually was made chief of Iceland upon his return. Now, Egil apparently was a great lover of mead, and there are many stories that talk about his affinity for a nip of alcohol, and this gave them, they say, gave them very good reason to name their brewery after Egil. So brewery Egil Skallagrimsson was founded in 1913 and it's since won many awards for its beer. So to allow the brewery staff room for their creativity, if you like, they created Borg Brugghús, and this brewery is led by head brewer Valgil Vargason, who was also the original brewer at Ölfusholt, another Icelandic microbrewery who produced some very good beers. Valgir actually was the creator of the famous lava beer at Ölfusholt. That's one that you really need to try, and also the one you'll see me review later, Garin, is a sort of extension of that one. That's supposed to be a very good beer as well, and that will be review at number 750. So these guys have actually got quite a big variety of beers. If you go on their website, you'll see I think there's about 35, maybe 40 different beers that Borg Brugghús do. So as I say, go and check out the brewery website in the description below. I believe it's available both in Icelandic and in English, but if it's only in Icelandic, just use Google Chrome and you can use the translate feature on there. But anyway, that's your little bit about Borg Brugghús. This is a very, very good brewery. I've tried quite a few of their beers when I've been in Iceland. I would like to get a hold of more of them to review, but as I say, Fabrizio and Tatiana very kindly sent me this one over to review for you. So a huge thank you once again to Fabrizio and Tatiana for providing this beer. But in the meantime, go and check out the Borg Brugghús website. So we'll get on to the tasting of this beer. Now, this one is a 10% Belgian strong ale, like I mentioned to you at the start of the video. It's hopped with Amarillo, Styrian Goldings and Pearl. Pearl, of course, is a very nice German hop, and it uses a Belgian yeast strain. So I'll just check that you're seeing the artwork of this one nicely. You can see it there. This one's in the gay pride colours, of course, something I think we should all support. We should all be for equal marriage, in my opinion, but I'm not sure, I don't know if this beer was brewed for a special occasion that relates to sort of gay pride in Iceland. Obviously it is to celebrate that because it has the colours, but I don't know if this was maybe brewed for when they introduced gay marriage in Iceland or something like that. But yeah, it's quite nicely presented, and you can see the difference with this one is you can see it there. The letters, of course, are upside down. I guess that's meant to be a sort of kind of fuck the system thing, I guess. The Icelandics and the Norwegians and everyone, the Scandinavians are kind of like that. They're very sort of anti-establishment, but you can see it is nicely presented. It's got one of these nice matted labels on it actually, and you can see there is the Borg Brugghús bottle cap on this one there. The sort of I think it's just a bottle actually, but it looks a bit like a kind of brewery still, I guess, as well. It looks like one of the boiling kettles, which is quite nice. So yeah, very nicely presented. It's 33 centilitres, this one, 330 mils, 10% alcohol by volume. So we'll get this guy out and get on with the tasting here. Should be awesome. So, as you can see, a nice smoky opening on this one. Now, I actually tried this beer in Iceland. My American friend who came with me and my Scottish friend to go around Iceland, we tried this beer, and I remember it being really quite good actually. So I was really, Fabrizio asked me if I wanted some Icelandic beer sent along with the Brazilian ones he was going to send me, and I said, yeah, send me the gay coloured beer from Borg Brugghús. So a big thank you really to Fabrizio for providing this beer. I'm really glad that I got to review this one for number 700. So as you can see, this beer is poured a really quite rich golden amber colour. There's a finger of a frothy, kind of creamy coloured head on this one. There's a few big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there. You can see if I put my fingers behind it, there is a degree of transparency. If I take it up to the light here, there is actually a few little sediment particles floating around, very, very small ones though, but that's really what's making the beer hazy. You can clearly see there's some sediment particles in this, but overall it looks like a very, very nice beer. It looks just how I remember it actually, so let's give it a smell and see how we get on then. This is unusual. The aroma in this one's actually quite unusual. It does smell a bit like a sour beer. It's got some of that kind of tart, sharp character to it. When you sugar it up a bit more though, you start to get the bigger kind of bready Belgian yeast. You know, that typical Belgian yeast thing that you get from all of these Belgian style beers. Nice, big and bready, quite sweet, doughy yeast. Doesn't really have much of a kind of banana-ish flavour out of it though that you can sometimes get from these beers. But you can definitely smell some kind of biscuity sweetness in there. It's that sort of grainy biscuity character. There's some sweet caramel. Yeah, that just builds on top of it. There's a kind of orangey, citrusy character coming out of this one too. Of course, orange is something that you'll get from the Amarillo hop. But you can smell, there's actually a sort of German noble character from this one. As I say, there's pearl hops in this. And I think it's the Goldings hops they said was in this one. Yeah, those Styrian Goldings hops that are in this beer will also give you a kind of nice sort of slightly floral, grassy character. Maybe it smells, maybe there's even just a little touch of earthiness in here. But yeah, as I said, it's nice and big and bready. There's a bit of a spicy character to it as well, like, you know, pepper or maybe cloves. Probably more cloves, to be honest with you. As I say, there's some sweet caramel, a bit of biscuity character on top of that. You can smell the kind of orangey, citrusy characters, but there is a little bit of a kind of more sharp lemon, I guess you would say. And you can smell some of the actual dusty, peachy flavours coming out of this one as well, which is quite interesting. But yeah, some grassy and floral character, maybe just a touch of earthiness as well. So as I always say, when it comes to these beers, especially with a brewery like Borg, who produce some really good, their high ABV beers that they do at Borg are excellent. So just take a bit of time and smell them before you get stuck in. So we're going to get stuck into this one now. So this is the Ástríkur Klausturöl number 18 from Borg Brugghús in Reykjavik in Iceland. Thank you for all your support over these 700 or so reviews, and thank you to Fabrizio and Tatiana for providing this very special beer for me. And remember, support gay pride and equal marriage, something that we should all do. Cheers. It's really nice actually. It's not exactly what I was expecting, I have to admit. I was expecting to be a bit bigger than it is. It's actually, for 10%, you can get the alcohol warmth out of this, but it's nice and bready. I was expecting this to be a little bit like a kind of trip ale or a strong blonde beer, but it's not really like that. It leans more towards the kind of bready characteristics rather than either the big caramel flavours you'd expect of the trip ale, for example, or the kind of more slightly hoppier elements that you would expect of the blonde beer actually. But yeah, definitely has this really nice bready malt base to it. One of the things you're always going to notice with Icelandic beer as well, and you can see it, I talk about this in pretty much all the Icelandic reviews I've done, like Geidinger, Borg, Einstök, all of them, you always get this really nice, very minerally flavour from the water. And of course Iceland, it's an absolutely beautiful country of course, but it's just all the volcanic activity. You've got a very, I guess you would call it hard water when it's got a lot of minerals in it. I'm sure it's, I forget my environmental chemistry I did, I'm sure it's hard water when there's a lot of minerals in it, but you can really taste that in the beer, and when you've got a very nice minerally taste, it can add another dimension to the flavour, and with Borg Brugghús, in my opinion, you really do get that. But yeah, this is nice. It is, you know, it definitely has the characteristics of a Belgian beer, but for me, it's quite hard to kind of put it in a definite Belgian style. It's got a little bit of an element of a blonde beer. There's maybe little hints of a kind of wit beer as well, but it does have some aspects of a trip ale too. There's little bits of everything in here, so it's quite hard to stick this beer in a category. Maybe that's the idea behind the brew though. I mean, with the label art and stuff, maybe that's kind of what they're going for. But the main thing is, it is a very good beer. We can talk about styles all day. The main point about this one is that it is very nice, and most of Borg Brugghús beers are very nice, of course. So as I always say with these beers, sugar them around your palate a little bit, and that'll allow you to dissect the flavours properly. But yeah, with this one, you've got a nice kind of bready character that just blankets the middle of the tongue. On top of that, towards the back of the palate, you can feel some of these yeasty flavours that just build up, and it gives the beer a little bit more body, I would say. There is a little bit of spice in there, maybe. It reminds me a little bit of a clovey spice. There's not much in the way of pepper, but that's very, very light. It's almost like it's kind of infused in, I would guess you. It's infused in the bread. It's not a kind of separate flavour. There is a definite kind of caramel sweetness to this one. It's quite a wet caramel sweetness actually, and that is what makes me think this beer, it has a little bit of trip ale quality in that way. It's a very kind of wet and quite oily kind of, it's that very definite trip ale Belgian caramel flavour that comes out of this one. It's quite hard to describe, but I'm sure those of you who are into your Belgian beers will know exactly what I mean. Yeah, there's a nice bit of biscuity character in there as well. You can feel that in the middle of the tongue, that there's some kind of biscuity, grainy character as well. The malt base in this one, as you would expect when it's a Belgian style beer, it is quite complex actually. There's a lot of flavours going on in there, but there's some citrusy orange in there as well. Just behind the very front curve of the tongue, you'll feel those fruity flavours come out, but there is a nice citrusy orange character in this one. There is a sort of peachy, there's a definite kind of slightly peachy and slightly tropical flavour there too. The fruit character in this is really quite unusual because there is a sort of apple-y or pear flavour to this one as well. That mixes in, so you've got a bit of orange, some of that kind of peachy, the almost kind of lighter, Dutchy, peachy flavour actually, but you also have some apple and pear in there too. It's a really interesting little fruit mix that's going on there. As I say, just behind the front curve of the tongue, that's where you'll pick that up. But around the edges of the palate, that's where you'll find all of these, the hoppy characters out of this beer. Mostly out of this one, you're getting some kind of floral aromaticity and a little bit of grassiness. There's maybe a little bit of earthy character in the very back corners of the palate, but that's very, very smooth. But as you come further forward, it's grassy and it's a little bit floral and aromatic, of course. That's something that you would expect of the Styrian Golding and of the Pearl hop. You can really detect the sort of German noble hop character from the Pearl there, and the Styrian Goldings comes out nicely too with that little bit more earthy character. The Amarillo, of course, it tends to be quite a big floral aromatic character, but you're not detecting too much of that really quite spicy floral aromaticity that you can get from that one. It's quite subtle actually, the Amarillo in this beer. But yeah, it's really quite nice actually. It's very, as I say, it's very different. This beer, it's definitely a Belgian style beer, but it doesn't fit into really any kind of category of Belgian beer that I've come across before. It's not a blonde beer, it's not a wit beer at all, and it's not a trip ale, but it has little elements of all of these things. The bready character in this one almost is a little bit reminiscent of some of the wheat beer bases or wit beer bases that I've come across before, but overall the main point is that this is a very, very good beer. So in terms of the mouthfeel, this one, I would say this one's actually quite light bodied, and for a beer of 10% that's quite surprising, I guess, but it works really well for it. And you know, if this had any kind of different body, if it was heavier, I don't think it would work quite in the same way. But the carbonation on this one is quite smooth. It just has a little bit of a prickle, and that helps bring out some of the fruity flavours in this one. Slightly oily, there's a good bit of malty character to it. Like I say, the bready character is interesting, and on top of that you get a little bit of sweetness. There's some fruity juicy character, like I was saying, the apple peary flavours, the peaches, a little bit of orange, but there's a good bit of hoppy dryness to this beer as well around the edge of the palate, quite floral that way, and it does have a bit of dryness to the malt base as well. Overall, it's another really, really good beer from Borg Brugghús, and I'm very glad that I was able to do this one for my 700th review. So a huge thank you again to Fabrizio and Tatiana for providing this beer. Hopefully I can review more Borg Brugghús beers in the future. I do have the Garen to review for you for number 750, so you can look forward to that, but hopefully I can get in contact with the guys at Borg and try and get a few more of their beers. I've tried to get them through System Bolaget here in Sweden, but you just can't get them, and this is a brewery that I really do love, so hopefully I can review some more of their stuff. But thank you again for joining me for my 700th beer review. Thank you for all of your support over the last little while. If you have tried this beer before, please let me know in the comments section below your own thoughts on it. Always interesting to hear from you guys that are watching the videos. If you're watching from Iceland, please do let me know about new breweries and things that are opening up in Iceland. Go and check out my other Icelandic reviews in the channel as well, of course, and let me know what your favourite Icelandic beers are. But thank you again for watching. Until the next one, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Go and check out my social media things, and thank you once again to Fabrizio and Tatiana for providing this beer, and thank you to all of you who've supported the channel over the last 700 videos. I'll catch you soon with my next beer review. There's many interesting things coming up. Slange just now, and I'll catch you later. Cheers. Go and check out Borg Brugghús from Iceland. Really some awesome stuff. Ciao just now.